Right, ladies and gents, it's the final one for today, and it's actually, I understand, a recorded presentation. So focus your eyes on the screen when it starts. Just to remind you, after we've finished, we have beers for peers, and that will be some beer benches on the ground floor to maintain a little Oktoberfest feeling for you. So you can go down and grab a beer after the presentation finishes.
Apologies everyone that I cannot join you today personally on the stage, but I hope to see you soon next year, hopefully. So I'll be starting my presentation now. Today my topic of the talk will be what are we still missing in web applications. So I'll start the presentation quickly. Few words about myself. As you're aware that my name is Mirza Burhan and I'm working as a senior security consultant in a UK-based firm. And I was heavily involved in bug bounty hunting programs back in 2012 and 13 and awarded and honored by Google, Microsoft, Facebook. And there are a lot of companies in the list. I'm an OSCP certified, and along with that, I have some known credentials as well. And I've been working as a penetration tester for around 8 years now, which covers the network, mobile applications, and all the other things. Then I dove to the red teaming side of the world, and I'm quite enjoying that. So I've been worked and I've been working with the financial industry, health industry, and all the other government industries and all the other things that we can see. So now today my topic of the talk will be the what are we still missing in the web application. Let's move forward with that. Okay, as we are talking about the major changes in OWASP top 10, we have to take a look at 2017 and 2021 chart right now. So if you can see that the injections are the most important thing in the 2017, now they're run down to the some other number, and broken access control are the number one thing in the OWASP top 10 right now. So the main question arises that why we need change. So if we are talking about the change, everything needs to be changed because there are a lot of new technologies involving in the web application, mobile network, and everything is changing, right? So we need to change the methodology as well, because there are two kind of methodologies. One, OWASP top 10 gave you the methodology to test the web application, and the second one you think by your own head, because I was heavily involved in the bug bounty program that I just told you guys about. So we have to think very with the change perspective. We cannot follow the OWASP top 10 and get the bounty. So we have to try different methodologies and do the things. So these changes needs to be implemented. Why? I'll tell you why. There are static and the dynamic scanners. As you are very well aware, we use the scanner to scan the web application from the front end and the back end as well. Source code analysis, what we are calling it. There are a lot of tools that do the source code analysis as well. And the front end scanner, like for example, if you use the front end scanner, if I name few of them, Equinetics, NetSpark, and few of them. So this kind of vulnerability that I am going to talk about, none of them gonna find that. Not the static scanner, not the dynamic scanner. See, I'll explain you why. I'll just explain you with an example how the injections were done and how they're protected now. As you can see over here, the injection, if we just focus on the SQL injection right now. So in SQL injections are previously not protected by the frameworks, MVC, or any kind of framework I would like to talk about. But now the browser, the frameworks, the patterns, they're more defined, they're more intelligent, and they can secure your application before it goes to the server end. So if you talk about the SQL injection, for example, so we can secure it by the stored procedures, parameterized queries, correct escaping, input validation. There are a lot of things going on, so we can secure the SQL injections. And so on and so forth. Other vulnerabilities, if you talk about the XSS, so that can be mitigated by the browsers itself on the front level defense line, but you can secure that on the server end. But right now we are talking about a certain kind of vulnerability that won't be protected from the server end, not the client end, but that is just in the hand of the developers who are building that web application. Yes, I am talking about the business logic flaws. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the business logic flaws are the only flaws that cannot be detected by the dynamic or the static scanner, but there are a few tricks and knobs. You can try that to automate the process, but that is not fully automated process. So what is the business logic flaws? How we gonna find it? What impact does it have on the application, and what we are looking forward? So let's do it. What are the business logic flaws? Vulnerabilities, just in one word, I'm getting your data out of your application, or I'm just changing your data without your permission. So if you're talking about the business logic flaw, that is a very critical matter. How they arise: negligence, simple word, by the developers. If you're not putting the right access control on the right controller or the view or anything else, if you're developing in other platforms. So negligence is the main key for the business logic flaws, and there are a lot of people who did the bug bounty hunting and they earn thousands of dollars just for bypassing a logic or a process. See, this is very simple. I'll explain it in a bit as well. A, B, C, and you're skipping the B and you're directly jumping from A to C. That's a business logic flaw, and you have to check it in your application right now as well. So what is the impact? Impact could be a disastrous. You can lose your data. I can fetch all the information from your system with a local admin, a local user, low privilege user. So if I can fetch and I can redirect all the data from one end to another end, so I'm successfully doing the business logic flaw operation. So let's move forward. Common vulnerabilities in the business logic flaws. What are the common vulnerabilities and what are you looking forward? So one thing that is most important thing, that you trust your client. Excessive trust in your client side controls, that I have asked the email, they will provide me the email. No, that won't be happening every time. Trusted user won't always remain trustworthy. For example, if I follow the intent ABC and if I do ABC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, but now I need to manipulate your script and I'm just jumping from A to C. So I have to look for all the combinations as a developer that no user is trusted in my application. Yeah. So user won't always follow the intended sequence. That I just explained that. User won't always supply mandatory input. I just explained that. You're asking for the numbers and I'm providing you the spatial characters. So you have to look for that what your users are providing you and what they are giving you from the front end to be processed on the back end. So now I'll be explaining a few examples, practical example that I've faced in my tenure, and these are already patched and they're pretty old, but they're my live experience and the practical experience I want to share with you with the example. So first thing, if you talk about the Oracle one, I would like to just explain you over here. I published the CV in 2019 and this vulnerability was in the Oracle financials, and that was a fraud management system, fraud detection basically system, and it was implemented in one of the banks in some other country. So what happened, they deployed the solution and they want to do the penetration testing as a normal vendor. We initiated the testing. So what happened, there were two users. If I can name them over here, if you can see that on this screen, there were analyst MY and there is another analyst. So the problem is that I have one low privilege user and a high privilege user. What I did, from the high privilege user, I just copy and paste every request and response from the server to the client, and I just save that in a file. Now what happens, I log in with the low privilege user, and in the burp suite, what I did, I just copy and paste and do some tweaks that I'm not gonna explain it over here because they are confidential. So I did some tweaking in the request and the response of the server, and what happens, it shows me all the data that the high privilege user can see. Now I can show you over here. If you can see, there's a analyst SC and there's analyst MY. I just explained you analyst MY was responsible for all the things, but now I can request the same process, same request, same data. These are the pretty anti-money laundering application, and I'm just looking at the logs, alerts, and everything in the application. I've just masked it down, by the way, so everything is secure and confidential. But the problem is that I saved the request from the high privilege user and applied that to the low privilege user. That's how I bypassed the application, and they published the CVE in 2019, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So moving towards the second example, I mostly work for the banks and the insurance companies. So there was a mobile application for a bank, and remember I was saying that business logic flaws cannot be detected by the static or the dynamic scanners. You have to work around in your mind to change the methodology and skip the good parts and just jump to the bad parts, right? So this particular example is a pretty much straightforward to that example. what kind of methodology I applied on that. Let's have a look at that. So if you can see from the left hand side, first image, pretty normal username and password they're requesting. So my methodology and my way of testing is that first of all, I provide all the valid credentials to the application, username, password, OTP. Then I manipulate them, because once I see all the request and response that are valid, then I can play around, right? So capture all the request and response from the server to the client, and from the client to the server as well, because you can just click on the burp suit and you can capture the server response. So pretty straightforward application, right? Username and password. It send the passcode on the mobile application, mobile number that I have. So first time, what I did, I just put the username and password. Then it provided me the OTP. I provided the OTP in the box as well, and it logged me. So how did it happen? Normal, pretty straightforward application. Username and password, OTP. I'm in. So I logged out. I log out again, and when I try to log in again with the wrong OTP, it says invalid OTP, invalid passcode. So I try multiple options, A, B, C. There is an image I posted in other slide. I'll show you that. There is a sequence check, 1 2 3, 1 wrong, 2 wrong, 3 wrong, 4, boom, on. So now what I did, I just try to use that approach. Username and password is correct, but I don't have a passcode. So what I did, I typed 0000. It says invalid passcode, and it redirect me back to my login screen. Now what I did, I just put the username and password, and I click login, and it bypassed the OTP system, and it showed me my account. So that's how I bypass the logic without any tool, without any scanner, without doing anything on the system or scanning or the coding process. I just use username and password, OTP back, and it just logged me in. Because there's a flaw in the application, it was checking for the passcode for the one time only. If that is correct or wrong, no matter. The second time you're coming, your passcode is finished and you can bypass that application. So that's how I bypass this application. So you have to look out for the particular minor details in the application as well that you cannot escape, right? Now let's have a look to another application. This also belongs to a banking application, and this is the internet banking that we are talking about. And I bypass this system as a normal, pretty standard way that I used to do. I love bypassing the OTPs, by the way. So in this particular example, I bypass the OTP again, and this is a different bank altogether. So how it happens, let's have a look. First thing first, my approach. Login, pretty straightforward. Capture all the requests and the response from the client to the server, and from the server to the client, and I just capture everything and place it in a notepad file. I literally have 30 plus tabs in a notepad plus plus at the time when I was testing, and still I have a lot of tabs going on, but I close them because I don't see any potential, so I close them all. So I restart again and build that 30 tabs again in an hour. So there is an approach. What I did, I just log in, I just captured the details and all the response and requests. First thing, if you can see on the left hand side screen, there's image, username and password, and the OTP. I provided the right OTP that was sent on my mobile application, mobile phone. And if you can see on the right hand side right top, there's an image that login DNN text OTP. It says 413342, something like that, right? And it is a valid OTP, and in the bottom image you can see it's redirecting me a certain page of the internet banking. Now what I feel, I posted the right OTP, so it's redirecting me to another page. What I did, I just tried to manipulate this current request. I captured this one that redirecting to certain page. I captured this one and I try to manipulate it with the wrong OTP. Let's see what happens. Now on the left hand side, if you can see on the top left hand side, I provided the wrong OTP. I provided the wrong OTP. On the middle image, if you can see, and there is a line, provided OTP is incorrect. As soon as it showed me that, the next screen, I just copy and pasted that request that I've already saved, which was a valid response from the server that yes, we are redirecting you to the dashboard or the home or the menu screen, something like that. And I just replace that. And what happens, it just open up me the dashboard of the application, and it is a internet banking internet facing application, and it was very critical. So that was all NDA signed, so we just responded back to the client and they fixed that the next day. But this is our methodology that we use to take the screenshots and all the other things to work on that, to do the R&D further, and we do the reporting as well after that. But we inform the client and fix it on the next morning. So the problem with the business logic flaw is the security design flaw. Remember that example? I just bypassed the mobile application with this particular thing. Attempt 1, no. Attempt 2, no. Attempt 3, yes, you can go inside. So I bypass the mobile application with this approach. And yeah, there's a design flaw. You have to be very careful what you are putting in your access control list while accessing every request in your server and the client inside. What you're providing your clients is the thing that you have to control on your server side. Okay, now let's talk about something automation and the scanning things. Remember, I was saying there is no scanner to detect the business logic flaw in the web application or the mobile application. Now, remember, I was saying that there are no scanner for the business logic flaw, neither the dynamic or the static scanners. But the good news is we have multiple plugins in the burp suite as well. One of them is auth metrics displayed over here. The auth metrics do a lot of things, and it saves your time while testing the other thing in the application. What it does, repeat the workflow with the different user roles, skip forward this tab in the workflows, for example ABCD ACD, remember that approach. So it does it automatically, and you have to provide two credential, one with the lower and one with the privileged, so it can manipulate the request and do what basically what we are doing manually, it's doing automatically on the web application from the burp suite perspective. So there are a lot of things that I want to talk about, how you're gonna plan your attack, how you're going to test your next application. If you're a penetration tester, what to look for in the source code to mitigate it. So I would like to talk about a lot of things, how you're gonna test it, how you're gonna secure it. So first thing first, having full understanding of what the application is supposed to do. You have to be take the understanding how the application is working, what are the flaws of the application, and the main thing is, the good thing is dividing and modeling the workflows. Every feature of the application you have to design and design the workflow of that and create the threat models of that as well. Individual modules, threat model is a good approach rather than going for the whole application and just making one threat model. So if you can just take a look at what components are involved in this one, so you can secure it precisely, right? Analyzing the control carried out, the parameter sent, the response is returned. Every time you have to look out for something in your web application. Now, as a manager, what you have to ask, as a developer, as a security consultant, what you have to ask if you are turning your data to someone else, who, from whom, to whom, with whom, for whom my data is going, where it is going, how much time will it need to be returned, and who is using, how, by what means. You're saying that I have to send the request. Okay, perfectly fine. How? By what means? API. Okay, the API is secure. Now it's running on the HTTP. So that's your flow is over here. So most of the APIs that I have personally tested, they are HTTP and they are not protected enough, right? How much, what quantities are you talking about? Because business logic flaws, if you go to the PortSecure website that I've mentioned the image of, they have a lot of labs going on. If you go to the business logic flaw app, testing parameters, so you'll see there are a lot of applications and you can do the hands-on testing while doing the business logic flaws in the current application. So these are all the things that I just want to say. So my final word for the presentation is that if you're a tester and if you are more interested in the web application and the mobile application, mainly in the web applications, do consider all the requests and the response. Never underestimate any request or the response. Just capture and save it for a while and then delete it. No worries, but you have to try one by one everything. Just capture a flow first of all, right, correct, legit user login, then just repeat that flow without the valid credentials. Then you can see how your server is responding and your application is working. There are a lot of things people confuse it with the IDOR, indirect object reference, but IDOR is something else and you are talking about, we are talking about something else. So with this note, thank you very much everyone for your time, and I hope to see you soon, hopefully. And there are some details if you want to contact me, and there's a barcode you can scan to go reach me. And yeah, happy hunting. Bye.
Yeah. Polite applause. Thanks, that wraps it up for today. 2 quick points. You can gain CPE credits at the ISACA for attending this conference, and they have a stand on this floor outside on the right. They'll be there tomorrow, and go grab yourselves a beer if you want, but don't drink too much because you have to come back tomorrow.